What's going on? I'm Cyrusausar and I'm back again. 8 ways to change your toxic behavior. I spoke about 10 ways to recognize your toxic behavior. I wanted to follow up to tell you how to change it. Number 1, self-reflect on why you're toxic. You may have grew up in a certain environment. You look at your mom, you look at your dad, you look at your family, and you realize that it breeds toxicity in your household. Whatever it may be, you got to get to the root of what it is that is causing you to be toxic or negative, or you just feel like, man, I'm just destructive as I walk out the house, or I'm just toxic to my friends, or what is it? Did something happen? Because sometimes we need a little counseling. You got to get to the root of whatever it may be that's causing you to be toxic in the first place. That's number 1. Self-reflect on why you are toxic. Number 2, identify your toxic behaviors. When you self-reflect and you find out who you are, start looking at those toxic behavior patterns. Do you realize that you are toxic with your words? Do you downplay everybody? Do you always got something to say? Are you negative verbally? Are you physically toxic? Do you put your hands on people that has nothing to do with your issues or whatnot? You got to look at which one you carry, and then we can address that. Number 3, acknowledge that you're a work in progress. Listen, we are not perfect out here. We all make mistakes. We all grow, we all learn, we all start somewhere, and as we get older, the goal is to grow into greatness. We're trying our best to be a little bit better than we were yesterday. If we can do that, that is everything. So acknowledge that you're a work in progress. Understand that you're not perfect. I'm not perfect, nobody is. What we're trying to do is become better. So when you recognize these toxic traits, you understand that I am not perfect. I am trying to be better. So if you know you are trying, once you recognize whatever it may be, then that's okay, because you're going to sift back into it sometimes. You're going to return back to who you once were every so often. And somebody might trigger that side of you that you thought was gone. It happens to all of us sometimes. Number 4, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. We grew up in certain environments, and sometimes you have to overcome so much to get to where you are. And even though that you overcame so much, you carried some of that toxicity with you. Some of those toxic traits is what you needed to survive in that environment that you grew up in. So you have to forgive yourself for what you've overcame to get to where you are. But that doesn't mean you need to keep those toxic traits the rest of your life. You can stop having it right now when you recognize whatever it is, and then you can start putting together a plan, which I will speak about later on in this video. Number 5, listen to others' constructive criticism. Like, really listen to your friends and family. Pay attention to what they're saying and recognize if they're saying the exact same things over and over. If you recognize that no matter where you go, people are saying the same things, then you should address that issue. If people keep saying, I don't like that person, they always joking, they always cracking on everybody, making people feel bad, and you start hearing that from so many people, start being self-aware of the fact that you are making people feel this way when you think you're just joking is hurting other people. And people do not forget how you make them feel. So when you address these issues inwardly, that is a way that you can change your toxic behavior. People are saying these things because it's true. If you get so many people saying the same things, you got to recognize there's some truth in it, and that's how you have to adjust that. Number 6, create a plan and put it in action. I say this often. When we are in school, we go through fire drills and whatnot. What a fire drill does is tell you what to do in a state of a panic. We have to have that same thing for our toxic behavior. We have to put things in place so when we start acting a certain way, we know what to do. We know when we start roasting somebody or they start feeling some type of way, we got to know to take a step back and be like, nah, I'm not going to do that. We got to know when we're about to say something that we know is harmful, we got to slow down and not say it. You got to bite your tongue sometimes, because all things don't need to be said, because it's about us fixing our toxic behavior. And these are ways that you can do so. Number 7, start your best self movement. It means self-reflect on who you are and constantly improve. Recognize the good things that's within you, the things that you do that is helpful to others, the things that you carry that are not toxic. Self-reflect and recognize those things and constantly pull them out, because you may be that person, as I mentioned earlier in the video, that joke a lot so you can make people feel bad, but that means you also have witty ways of speaking to uplift people as well. I noticed that even when people joke on somebody, it's a double-edged sword. They know how to destroy people, but they also know how to build people up. So you can take on the other side of that coin to start building people up. But you have to recognize that and start that best self movement by self-reflecting constantly, pulling out those great things you have inside of you and putting back that negative traits that you carry. And the last is commit to the change. When you create your plan on how you're going to stop being as toxic as you are, and you start implementing things and you start recognizing it, commit to the change, because there are going to be days where it's going to be things that's going to trigger you, that's going to bring you back to square one. Sometimes it is 2 steps forward for 3 steps back. But if we're constantly looking at how we're going to improve and be better, that is all that matters in the end. How are we going to be better? How are we going to take steps forward? And how do we commit to that change consistently? And these are 8 ways to change your toxic behavior. Every last one of these may not apply to you, maybe some of them. So take what applies to you and make sure you can do those changes. Thank you for taking out the time to watch this video. If you want to get a shirt or a hat or any of my books, you can do so in the description box below. Also, continue reaching out to me on Instagram. I truly appreciate the messages, all the comments, all the topics, all the things that y'all engage with me with. I truly appreciate that. Thank you once again.